27th Annual Economic Summit. I am Port Board Chairman Duque Valderrama, and on behalf of the Port of San Diego and South County EDC and our sponsors, it is my distinct honor to welcome you. Thank you. Earlier in the morning, we had a great session filled with insightful information about our economy from Ray Majors, Callie Cunningham, and Phil Blair. We also heard from Stu Headley, who is a witness to history as a Pearl Harbor survivor. Now, for those of you that were not here, this man is 95 years old, survived the Pearl Harbor situation, and I'm a firm believer that God was watching him over that day, and what an unbelievable, inspiring presentation this morning. Our elected officials provided insight in the economic opportunities within our binational region. If you're looking to grow your business, please call on the South County EDC to help. There are incentives and assistance waiting for you. Every time I get an opportunity to speak, I always tell everybody, if you want to belong to one organization, the organization you want to belong to is South County EDC. Our thanks to our speakers and our moderator, Jeff Light from the Union Tribune and Nels Jensen from the San Diego Business Journal. They all did a great job this morning. Let's give all our speakers and moderators a round of applause for this morning's work. I will now turn it over to Sally.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sally Preston from Mission Federal Credit Union, and I am chair this year of South County EDC. I'm very proud of that. We're able to have the summit because of the generosity of our sponsors, and I want to take this opportunity to thank our title sponsor, Tony McCune. He's a founding member of South County EDC, and he's been on our board since the inception, 28 years. Tony also co-chairs the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and he's been a staunch and active supporter of the cross-border terminal. In fact, he and several other members of South County EDC conceived and wrote the white paper conveying the concept of what we now call the Cross-Border Express. Tony, would you join me at the podium?
Goodness. Take the cords off. Yeah, I got it.
Tony, for your vision, inspiration, tenacity, please accept this as a token of our appreciation for all you've done for South County.
Wow, that's an unexpected pleasure. And I'd like to thank you all for being here today and participating in the summit. You all heard from Duque Valderrama, and I will say this. There are not many politicians that have a couple of attributes that I think apply to Duque. He's got common sense and integrity, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Before I introduce our esteemed speaker, I'd like to ask the people that are really responsible for this gathering and putting this together, if I could mention the fact that Cindy Gompers and her staff worked so hard on this and look what we have. We have a perfectly successful summit. And also, the people on the summit committee who all have jobs and found time to spend hours putting this together. Would they please stand up so we can recognize them?
We're going to introduce the speakers. We're going to introduce the speakers after we acknowledge the people that got awards. No, after. I'm going to acknowledge the people that got awards earlier, and I'll bring you back.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. We owe a great deal of gratitude to Tony McCune. I was at the Christmas breakfast that we had last December, and I was sitting next to Tony, and we were talking about how we needed to get a sponsor for the our annual gala right here. And Tony just got the form, started writing out, made the commitment right then and there. And after he turned it in, he came back and said, I don't know how in the hell I'm going to pay for this. But he did it anyway. So, Tony, thank you very much for everything that you do. We had a few awards presented this morning, and I want to acknowledge our winners. If I could ask the winners to stand, SDG&E presented the Regional Leadership Award to Paola Avila at from the San Diego Chamber of Commerce for the binational work. Paola, oh, there she is back there. The Port of San Diego was proud to honor Denise Garcia with the Binational Endeavor Award for making the binational relations a priority for the San Diego and Tijuana. U.S. Bank bestowed the Outstanding Corporate Citizen Award on Louisa McCarthy of La Vista Memorial Park for her civic and community services and her charitable causes that included hosting events for the public. Louisa, are you still here? Oh, there she is over there. The Corky McMillan Best of San Diego County Award, sponsored by Cork McMillan Companies, was presented to Sweetwater Authority for their new groundwater desalination plant. There they are over there. Thank you. The City of Imperial Beach honored Bob Korber of BAE Systems with a Pioneer Award for his tenacity and vision in securing his new Chula Vista site for his 200 employees after looking at 25 other sites. The 26th one was the right one. BAE Systems, Bob Korber. And Tony McCune sponsored the Marilyn Lastman Golden Dedication Lifetime Achievement Award that was bestowed upon Eddie Brinko, who adopted 500 families annually for Thanksgiving and Christmas and continually donates to local schools and charities. And Eddie Brinko, I don't know if he's still here, but it was a great honor and a great award for Eddie. Let's give all of our winners a round of applause. Thank you. Sally?
So we just announced and thanked Tony for being the title sponsor of today's event. But again, Tony, please accept our thanks. You're really wonderful. Additionally, we want to express our appreciation to Vanessa and SDG&E for being today's platinum sponsor. Our gold sponsors include the Port of San Diego, thank you, Dookie, the County of San Diego, the cities of San Diego, and Chula Vista. Our silver sponsors, did you want to talk? Go ahead. Our silver sponsors include the San Diego Padres, BAE Systems, Cox Communication, San Diego County Airport Authority, San Diego County Water Authority, Higgs, Fletcher, and Mack, the cities of National City and Coronado, TruckNet LLC. And our awards are generously sponsored by U.S. Bank, McMillan Companies, City of Imperial Beach, and our bags are sponsored by Scripps Health. Thank you all. I know I mentioned this morning, but I wanted to also thank our media partners, which are the Union Tribune, Filipino Press, KSDY Channel 50, XEWT Channel 12 Televisa, Uniradio, Star News, and Radio Latina 104.5. Please accept our gratitude to each one of you, to each one of our table hosts, and to each one of you for attending today's event. And let's give each other a big round of applause. I want to take a moment to acknowledge again the students from High Tech High in Chula Vista. The fact that you're here today makes our future look even brighter, and it was wonderful to hear your speeches this morning. Please join me in welcoming them with a round of applause.
You know, this morning we did something different. We had the the high school students speak and give us a little bit of their vision. And I'll tell you, when I was up there, hearing their presentations, it really spoke to me, and it was really my true honor to be able to have the future leaders of the South Bay be able to come up and speak. So High Tech High, you did a beautiful job. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Vanessa Garcia from SDG&E. Vanessa serves on the South County EDC Board of Directors and the Executive Committee. She also is on the Chula Vista, National City, San Isidro, Otay Mesa, and Pearl Beach Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Quite frankly, Vanessa is everywhere, supporting our region in a variety of ways. We are grateful and envious of her energy. Please join me in welcoming Vanessa.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so proud as a member of SDG&E's team, but also a member of the board and the executive committee. I'm so honored to be on for South County DC to have you all here today because, as Chairman Valderrama mentioned, it's a premier event in the South County DC Economic Summit because we get to have all of the dignitaries, the mayors, the council members, the executive directors of all of our chambers, the board members, and all of the community leaders here, and it's such an honor to be amongst you all. And at SDG&E, I'm really fortunate to have a position that allows me to really engage and interact with all of you. I'm also esteemed to be here because I get to introduce Craig Woolston, who has a very cool job. And before I share why I'm so excited about introducing Craig, I want to share, it's just so exciting, the venue that Cindy creates to hear about all the technological advancements going on in the region and the ones that are happening in South County. And SDG&E is really proud to be at 43% renewable energy, but more than that, I'm really excited about a program that we're doing that has electric vehicles charging stations being deployed throughout South County. So many of you in the room are getting those vehicles, and I'm so excited that Chula Vista is also endeavoring in autonomous vehicles as 1 out of 10 test sites I'm aware of, right, for autonomous vehicles. So there's so much advancement in South County and transportation and mobility, and I'm really excited that we get to hear from Craig about the latest and greatest that we're doing. Craig is an autonomous design engineering vice president at Northrop Grumman Aerospace Systems. In his role at the San Diego Autonomous Design Center, he's responsible for all elements of the Center of Excellence and ensuring that they're integrated. Previously, Craig was the Vice President and Program Manager of Advanced Technology Demonstration Center within the Strategic Systems Division of the aerospace sector. And since 2005, he's held various positions, including engineering, proposal development, chief engineer, chief architect, deputy program manager of Advanced Technology Demonstration Center, and he has been working in the aerospace industry for 21 years and is new to San Diego. So please help me in welcoming Craig to hear all about the latest and greatest of autonomous vehicles.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Vanessa. I'm excited to be part of the South County Economic Development Council's annual Economic Summit. As Vanessa said, I am Craig Woolston, Vice President of the Autonomous Design Center of Excellence here in San Diego. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Mayor Salinas, Mayor Dedina, Mayor Morrison, all of the civic leaders from both sides of the border for being here today and providing us such great insight into the happenings in South County. I'd also like to thank Cindy and the South County EDC Board of Directors for allowing Northrop Grumman to participate in this year's Economic Summit. And as always, you've assembled a great list of speakers throughout the day, including Mr. Headley and General Salinas. Northrop Grumman is a leading supplier, global security company, providing innovative systems, products, and solutions for autonomous systems, cyber, C4S, ISR, strike, logistics, and modernization for customers worldwide. But what do we do here in San Diego? Our Autonomous Design Center of Excellence is a high-tech design incubator that supports global engineering, testing, research development, and business operations for autonomous systems. What some people might call an unmanned aerial system or drone, we call an autonomous system. Why? Because our systems provide more capabilities than just flying an airplane or a drone. We provide direct support for critical national security missions, including autonomous systems like the Air Force's Global Hawk, the Navy Triton and Fire Scout programs, as well as the NASA Global Hawk, and countless other efforts, which frankly I can't talk about. I'm sorry. We have several hundred employees that live in South County, and we continue to hire in the region across all disciplines in the area. Our employees care deeply about our community and about the STEM education and give back in more ways than I can count. When they aren't improving our region, they're at Northrop Grumman helping ensure our nation's defense and enabling human discovery. Much of this work centers around autonomy and working to create a cutting-edge technology right here in San Diego. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today and talk about Northrop Grumman and what the future of autonomy means for our community and the rest of the world. We all want to make the world better. We all want to make a difference. We all want to expand the boundaries of human potential, and we all want to be part of the next big thing.
Remember when the next big thing really was big? Really, truly, epically big? So big, the world would literally stop just to get a glimpse of it. Boys and girls would dream endlessly about it. And history books all had to be rewritten for it. Makes the latest smartphones, search engines, and robot cars seem downright tiny in comparison, doesn't it? Well, most of the next big things we all know and love came from one place: America's aerospace industry. In fact, American aerospace was the birthplace of innovation. Real innovation. And you know what? It still is. Today, we're inventing the next big thing in unmanned vehicles. The next big thing in space telescopes. The next big thing in microscopically small things. And the next big thing of stuff we're not even allowed to talk about. This is what we do. Because when you break free of the bureaucratic shackles, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and radically advance human discovery, you're able to do something big, something really, truly, epically big. Build the next big thing of next big things.
So let me ask you a question. By a show of hands, who is working with a company or hopes to work with an organization that wants to take the next major leap forward and be part of the next big thing? I know from the Aerospace Summit, South County EDC Summit held earlier this year, we're a population of innovators and early adopters who have big ideas and are driven by what's not impossible yet. And we need everyone like you in education, finance, and the public sector to help us. Big shifts in technology will have real impacts on you as well. And we all know that you have that explorer inside of you who wants to make the world better, smarter, stronger, and safer. So, I want to talk to you today about 3 questions. First, how do we shape and define that future? Second, how do we chart a path forward? How can we move forward when there are significant cultural, societal, and technical barriers? And third, what actions do we, all of us in this room, need to take in order to get there? Forging a path of autonomous technologies requires actions, collaboration, and conversations. To shape and define our future, let's take a moment to look at how far we've come. This last May marked the 90th anniversary of the flight of the Spirit of St. Louis. This was Charles Lindbergh's successful flight from New York to Paris nonstop. Teledyne Ryan Aeronautical, a Northrop Grumman heritage company, built the Spirit of St. Louis right here on Harbor Drive. It was a milestone in aerospace history and an example of that thirst for innovation. And I'm proud to say it was made possible by Northrop Grumman. 90 years ago, flying across the Atlantic was an impossibility. Innovators who formed the foundation of this great corporation made this possible, and now flying the Atlantic Ocean is an everyday occurrence. The problems that many of you are solving today could lead to the things that become part of our daily lives. And that thirst for innovation continues today, and I can see it in groups like the EDC South County. Countless organizations that are dedicated to innovation. And when you look at the work being done in San Diego, you get a glimpse of what that future might hold. Innovation solves critical problems that will shape and define the future of autonomous capabilities. The passion for innovation and strengthening our communities is what brings us all here today. And it's how we apply that innovation to solutions to solve these problems that's so exciting and keeps us committed when the problems are tough to solve. There are problems that impact all of us, like storms and bad weather, one where autonomy can play an increasing role. We have an autonomous system that generates tremendous scientific data on hurricanes and other environmental activities. Our Global Hawk, in partnership with NASA, helped scientists evolve their knowledge and understanding of complex weather. Collecting information from the eye of the storm, not an easy task, but it's what this system can do. Access to actionable information like this can provide powerful results to reclassify storms in real time, just like the storms we saw in the Gulf Coast in Florida in the last few weeks. Actionable information gives people in the storm's path the best possible data so that people can stay safe. In fact, the data from these efforts has actually increased the modeling accuracy by 20%. The same autonomous systems can provide humanitarian missions over areas devastated by natural disasters, such as in Haiti, Indonesia, and Japan. And do you know why it can do these things? Because the system doesn't require a pilot in the air. So following the 2011 Japanese tsunami disaster, a Global Hawk flew over the area, removing the need to potentially put a person in harm's way when there might have been exposure to radiation. It can do this, it can stay aloft at high altitudes for over 30 hours. We've gone from crossing the Atlantic to flying inside of hurricanes, and this is only the beginning. It's very likely that most of us, if not all of us, believe our future will be autonomy-driven. How will autonomy continue to expand human potential in new and different ways? How will we apply autonomy for the greater good through advancing scientific knowledge or keeping our nations and our allies safe from threats? Working together, I believe we can solve these problems. Recently, we applied an autonomous solution to begin addressing an issue that you wouldn't think that Northrop Grumman would be involved in. We partnered with San Diego Zoo Global to provide scientists with a capability they do not currently have: the ability to monitor hard-to-reach areas where polar bears live in their habitat at most at risk in the Arctic. And we challenged our engineers to find the best solution through an internal innovation challenge program. Working in teams, our engineers unleashed their passion and creativity to tackle this challenge, oftentimes using our maker spaces, or as we call them, fab labs, to innovate these new technologies. And last November in 2016, a team of Northrop Grumman engineers joined zoo scientists on an expedition to Churchill, Canada. They were there to test their technologies and map the sea ice, information absolutely critical for the polar bear survival and very difficult to collect in these austere environments. This endeavor helped us encourage out-of-the-box thinking for our engineers, providing opportunities to explore and collaborate in new ways that we hadn't imagined. And this mission is continuing this year again with Operation Polar Eye. So what's next? How do we revolutionize autonomy to propel ourselves forward in the future? And what does it look like? And why is it so important to our world? There are two critical areas our engineers and scientists are researching and thinking about today: cognitive autonomy and human-machine teaming. These are fundamental to how an autonomous system in the future will enhance human capabilities to achieve more effective results, and they are distinctly related. Cognitive autonomy is about effectively harnessing advanced computing and other decision aids that will allow humans to make more informed and more efficient decisions in a complex and rapidly changing environment. Cognitive autonomy will extend the advantages of human-machine teams by handling vast amounts of data, enabling greater operational endurance, and the reduction in excessive human cognitive load, while improving our system's performance, reducing our costs, and improving our logistics. It's an evolving area and one where collaboration with partners such as academic institutions, industry, and our customer base is key if we are fully realize the potential and deliver on these cognitive autonomous systems. But harnessing the full potential of autonomy will not happen through technology alone. Otherwise, we'd be further down this path today. Why aren't there more unmanned cars on the roads today? Why aren't drones delivering your groceries? Why are humans still being put at risk when our autonomous systems can do it better, faster, and safer? There are challenges we face to achieving this reality, and they're cultural. Should a car be able to drive without a driver? They're structural. What are the laws to allow drones to deliver your next pizza? And they're technological. It's a multifaceted challenge across all elements of our society. Autonomy will take adjustments in industry, in society, and in government to be accepted. But I believe we are close to that tipping point. You know, my son has only known a world dominated by the internet. He's a digital native. He doesn't understand what the world looked like before you couldn't Google it and have instant access to information. I believe the next generation could be the autonomous age. The new capabilities and applications we're developing in this region could become more enmeshed in our lives. Driverless cars will be as natural as booking a flight on the internet. Before my generation, elevators used to be manned. Now we get in them without any hesitation. Raising a generation that views autonomy as the new normal and appreciates the benefits will require action by all of us. It's going to take collaboration and joint action to achieve this potential. We need to work with academia to leverage new thinking, new paradigms, and new ideas. We need to continue our work with leaders in robotics, machine learning, data sciences, with multiple universities, including our own UC San Diego and San Diego State. And we are developing the next generation of innovators through college internships and high school programs, innovation challenges. In fact, a team from Chula Vista won Northrop Grumman's 2017 High School Innovation Challenge earlier this year. We're working with government, especially research arms like SPAWAR, DARPA, the Office of Naval Research, the Air Force Research Labs, and also like regulatory arms like the FAA. We need to leverage advances in autonomy from the commercial sector, from the aerospace sector, and from around the globe. We need to work together to develop regulations that support critical policies and enable us to test and integrate autonomy into our world, and we need to do this with safety being the top priority. It's not going to be easy. We need to answer questions together in San Diego and across the country. And so I asked you at the beginning, who wants to be part of this next big thing? I think that next big thing will be autonomy. But together, we need to continue to answer these questions. How do we allow for more autonomy? How do we grow the knowledge base we need for autonomy? And how do we gain a cultural acceptance of autonomy? Thanks to our region's universities, our local military presence, facilities like the UAV test site in Chula Vista, private industry, community leaders like all of you in this room, I would not be surprised if this next big thing happens right here in San Diego. So in closing, again, thank you for the opportunity to come speak with you today. I really appreciate being welcomed into the community.
The UAV site, if you aren't familiar with that, it's a drone testing site in Chula Vista. And just hearing you, Craig, talk about and hear about and watching the changes in aviation and aerospace industry, it makes me more confident, and especially hearing you say that this is something that you see as being a strong presence in San Diego. I know that it's going to be a strong presence in South County. Thank you. Okay, now it's my pleasure to welcome Tony back up to the microphone. He'll be introducing our next speaker.
Thank you, Shelley. Today, we are so privileged to have Angela Salinas with us. Major General Salinas was the first Latina promoted to general officer ranks in the United States Marine Corps. Woo-rah! She did her job well. Her personal decorations include the Navy Distinguished Service Medal, the Defense Superior Service Medal, the Legion of Merit and Gold Star, the Meritorious Service Medal with 2 gold bars, the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, Gold, and the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal with 2 gold stars. She has been recognized for her leadership and as a role model in many organizations throughout the United States, and she currently serves as CEO of the Girl Scouts of Southwest Texas. We are honored to have her with us today, and please join me in welcoming retired Major General Angela Salinas.
All right. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Tony. Semper Fi, this is a Marine, so you should all feel safe. There's 2 of us here. So I would just say my mom would be incredibly proud. My friends are still in great disbelief. I want to say thank you very much to Sally and to Cindy and to, of course, the entire South County EDC for allowing me to come back to San Diego. I've lived here a couple times, and there's nothing like flying over Balboa Park, looking at the skyline, looking at the Midway, and then touching down, and then looking off to the right and seeing the Marine Corps Recruit Depot of San Diego. Full day. I'm going to tell you some stories. It's going to be about history, but I will tell you, what a way to start the day. I'm incredibly honored to kind of be on the same syllabus today as Stuart Headley. This is a man that's with the greatest generation, a member that has made a difference in our lives. He's a survivor of a day that lives in infamy in our history, and it should be a day that should never, ever become anything more than a footnote in our history. We, every single one of us that are here today, cannot thank enough the men and women who've worn a uniform. From the greatest generation to those who currently serve in harm's way. Let's face it, we are incredibly blessed to live in a country where young men and young women are willing to raise their hands and serve something greater than themselves. And what about these high school tech kids? How about, can you all stand up, because I know you're over there and one of you kept jumping up trying to get recognized, but I want you to look at these faces, because these faces, take a good look at them. They had incredible courage today. Look at them. They are tomorrow's leaders. They are going to be the ones that are going to make a difference in our lives. And I will tell you, you all inspired me today. Thank you very much. Now sit down. So think about this. Today, the South County Economic Development Council brings you together today for this, the 27th annual summit, to engage the region in the future. You know, I encourage you, I want you to not miss on the most critical element to the economic success. It's investing in the most valuable asset that's here in San Diego County. And I'm saying it's human capital. I don't need to tell each and every one of you that San Diego is home to the largest concentration of military personnel. Over 240,000 veterans and their families live here in America's finest city, making up roughly 13% of the population, and the 3rd largest veterans residence of any county in the nation. Statistics show that those who choose San Diego are younger and better educated. These are men and women who understand a work ethic, loyalty, task completion, and commitment. And then there's me. I am only one of more than 17.4 million women veterans who have served in uniform. Now, when people think of the military and opportunities to look for a speaker, they don't think of me. Looking at me, you would not pin me as having been the longest serving woman in the history of the United States Marine Corps, rising in rank from private to major general, who's commanded at every single level from lieutenant to general. So let me add a few more facts. I'm retired. I'm a Texan. I was the first Latina to be promoted to general and only the 6th woman in the history of the Corps. I'm the first woman to command the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego. I'm the first woman to be the head of a plans and policies combatant organization, and the first of many other titles throughout my career. I spent 39 years as a United States Marine. And I'm sure that you've all heard stories of how challenging it is for somebody that's worn a uniform to transition into the civilian workforce. I, too, experienced some transition woes. I was out playing golf one day with a CEO who was telling me about one of his employees. He told me Bill was very professional. He was articulate. He was well-versed. He was very mission-oriented. He had tremendous vision. He had great organizational skills. He was well-liked and incredibly respected. The only negative thing that the CEO told me about Bill was that he was always late for work. Well, this CEO was really stumped because he said, I don't understand it. You know, he came from the military. I said, well, you know, the best thing to do is just ask him. So I ran into that CEO a couple of weeks later, and I said, hey, how did that conversation with Bill go? Well, he said, well, I did exactly what you told me. I called him in. I said, Bill, you know, I'm pleased with your performance. You're professional, you're articulate, you're well-versed. I just don't understand why you can't come to work, and especially having come from the military. I said, well, what did Bill tell you? Well, I asked him, well, what did the military say to you when you'd walk in the morning late every single day? He said, well, General, would you like your coffee? You know, General, come in late to work, do what you want, you know, you're in charge. You know, okay, that didn't work here in San Diego. Let me tell you, it goes really well in Military City, USA, which is in San Antonio. For over 43 years ago, I joined an organization that was almost 180,000 strong that did not want me. No one would have imagined that someone who looked like me would ascend to the highest ranks of an organization whose slogan is the few, the proud, the Marines, which produces images of a flag raising on an island called Iwo Jima, of seasoned battle-weary warriors, and of elite exclusive brotherhood. I did not envision that this is going to be my path. All the statistics show that someone like me should not be standing here today. I was born in a little place called Alice, Texas. I'm the youngest of 5. My dad was an incredibly talented mechanic with a 6th grade education. My mother cleaned houses and brought in ironing, and she barely got to the 4th grade. They both grew up on the ranchitos around Oilton, Texas. Both knew hard work, faith, and character mattered, and instilled in each of us a sense of responsibility and a work ethics that others should emulate. They understood education was important, but they also knew the rest was up to us. I went to college because my classmates went. No one there looked like me, and I secretly believed I did not belong. I was there for 2 years, and I did one thing incredibly well for 2 years. I partied. And I partied, and I partied, and I partied. I did it so well that the school was about asking me to take it down the road. I had convinced myself that people who looked like me, who came from where I came from, who had parents who barely spoke English, did not go to college. It was not our place. A little more history. I'm a baby boomer. I was born years and years and years after World War II. It was a time when the future was bright and life was pretty simple. But I grew up in the 60s where the words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country," captivated the generation. I'm of that generation that saw the assassination of a president, a senator, and a charismatic civil rights leader that forever changed my innocence. It was a time when the evening news was filled with nothing but images of flower power, long hair, and the Vietnam protesters. It was a time when Americans burned the flag on the streets in the name of freedom of speech, while others watched a man land on the moon with a flag in his hand with the words, "That is one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind." So I went to the post office to mail a letter my sophomore year, and just as I was walking up to that old blue box, out stepped a tall, good-looking, sharp, good-looking, confident, good-looking Marine recruiter who looked me in the eye and said, "Why aren't you a United States Marine?" I looked at him and I said, "Look, buddy, I'm just trying to mail a letter." Did I mention he was kind of good looking? I met him on the 30th of April, and on the 4th of May, I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and on the 7th of May, I was greeted by a yelling drill instructor at a place called South Carolina, which immediately caused me to stop and ponder, what have I done? It was 1974. It was the end of the Vietnam War. It had come, and with it, the elimination of the draft and the beginning of the all-volunteer force. The country was weary, gas was high, and few considered joining the military. Now, we all know that the times have changed, but I'm here to tell you that the people who serve today have not. For 39 years, I got to serve with America's best and brightest sons and daughters. And those in the rank and file today, well, they may not receive letters from the president anymore, but they, like their predecessors, are ordinary men and women who represent the very best of who we are in the American character. They seek something greater than themselves, and that they know that they have a purpose. President Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It has to be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. I served as the commanding general here at MCRD San Diego from 2006 to 2009. It was perhaps my most rewarding assignment. I had the opportunity to see firsthand the making of Marines from the very streets of America. We train all the men west of the Mississippi here in San Diego, but the experience is the same for all those east of the Mississippi, all the men and women who go there for training. My Monday evening ritual was to drop by around 9 p.m. at the receiving barracks as the first bus load of young Americans were being greeted by the drill instructors. As you can imagine, there's massive chaos with 4 simple words: get off my bus. Watching these 17 to 24-year-olds staring at the back of the head of another young man, I couldn't help but wonder every Monday if they too were thinking, what the heck have I done? They're ushered into this heel to toe, and they're ordered into this chair where they, maybe in 7 swipes of an electric razor, they're transformed into just scared, young, bald men. And they realize they're no longer in Kansas. Now, flash forward to 12 weeks later. It's the favorite day. It's graduation day here in MCRD San Diego. They're tanned, they're muscled, they're steely-eyed look. They stand in formation in their dress blue uniforms, waiting for the sound of the drums. Waiting in the stands, thousands of moms and dads, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, waving American flags. The sky's blue, the breeze just right. They have spent 11 long weeks, challenged every single moment of the day, mentally, physically, emotionally. They learn about teamwork while they're learning discipline, courage, and faith. They learn words like deck and head and ladder well, while understanding that words like honor and courage and commitment are far deeper than the surface of the word. They learn about those who've gone in places before, like Tripoli and Bella Wood, Iwo Jima, the Chosin Reservoir, Khe Sanh, and places in Iraq and Afghanistan, too many to name. Their loved ones know that on this given day, they will go into harm's way, but they celebrate, for today they stand next to others who are called Marines, who they know that here, this is a special place. I don't know how you describe those who start their path with very simple words. I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, who then embrace as a motto, I am an American fighting in the armed forces of my country which guard my way of life. I'm prepared to give my life in their defense. I'll never forget that I'm an American fighting for freedom, responsible for my actions, and dedicated to the principles which make my country free. I'll trust in my God and in the United States of America. In 2013, when it was time to retire, I moved to Texas. I went there fully believing that I was going to be retired because I knew nothing would ever give me the same passion and the desire to serve as it had wearing a uniform. So I went there just to cut the grass and clean the pool and do some volunteer work because when you look at me, I just look like a little old lady. And I received a call one day asking if I'd be interested in the position of the CEO of the Girl Scouts. I would tell you I didn't blink. Girl Scouts builds girls of courage and confidence and character who make the world a better place. I've often been asked, why the Girl Scouts? I love to say, why not? Who would not want to invest in the future tomorrow's leaders? I want you to imagine I had to be 19 years old to raise my hand and understand an oath. Today I'm with an organization that teaches a young 5-year-old to raise her hand and make a promise. On my honor, I will try. The idea, though, I will tell you, is now not wearing a uniform, it's still a little hard for me. I wore a uniform for so long, my entire identity was that of being in the military. When you look at a uniform, you easily can see a soldier, a sailor, an airman, a Marine. The general public easily recognizes those who serve, but when you're wearing this, they have no idea. So I've kind of learned to pick out those who've served. You know, those who've served, well, they hang flags out in their front yard on each patriotic day. They struggle to stand from their wheelchairs when the colors march by or when the national anthem is played. Those who've served in places like Iwo Jima, Incheon, Khe Sanh, Mosul, and Marja, they don't talk about battles. They talk about their buddies. They rarely use the word hero because they know what real ones look like. They have license plates with their branch of service or maybe a small decal on the back reflecting their pride of service, not realizing that maybe it's going to be a small reminder for the car behind them. Nearly every single organization where there are volunteers, there's someone who's worn a uniform. They instantly understand loyalty, character, and that your word in a handshake, that means something. You know, I wasn't sure I was going to adjust really well to San Antonio, but I would tell you I figured out Veterans Day. So I know we probably do it here too, but I start my day at Krispy Kreme's for my free donut. Then I zip over to Starbucks for my free coffee, and then I go get a free breakfast of pancakes at IHOP. And then for lunch, I swing by Chili's and I catch dinner at Applebee's. I spend the day at the state park because it's free and I have to walk off all those calories. But the best part, really, is kind of looking around at all those places and know that I am among my family. They're tall, they're short, they're skinny, they're meaty, they're male, they're female. It's an intangible quality that seems to bond all those who've worn a uniform. You can just kind of look at each other and just know. Those who served in a uniform are less than 1% of the entire nation. Each of us know that maybe we have made a difference. In a speech given by General John Kelly on 13 November 2010, he said, "We Marines believe that God gave America the greatest gift he could bestow to man while he lived on this earth, freedom. We also believe that he gave another gift nearly as precious, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guard, and Marines, to safeguard that gift and guarantee that no force on this earth can ever steal it away." So I'm going to ask every single one of you who have the opportunity that know this economic impact of your community. I want you to imagine San Diego County without its 240,000 veterans or the 100,000 active duty service members and their families. I want you to imagine the success of the business and your potential if you hired veterans who could learn your business from the ground up and armed with passion to do well could ensure that you are competitive for generations to come. So here's some advice. Skip the resume, skip the CV, use your gut, and just hire someone who's worn a uniform. And occasionally, if you happen to see somebody wearing a ball cap that says veteran or maybe somebody in uniform, buy their lunch, their dinner, or their drink. But buyer beware. I love flying Southwest. They're great partners, and I was boarding a flight a couple years ago in uniform, and one of the pilots stopped me to tell me he'd seen 2 Marines at the airport food court. They were trying to count out if they had enough money to buy some food. He was buying coffee, and he told the cashier, "I'll pick up their tab." So he went over and he was filling up his coffee, and he came back, and she said, "Well, that'll be like $32. So he's a little surprised, as you can imagine, but he paid the cashier and he moved on. As he was walking around the corner, he saw these 2 young Marines handing out food to about 10 other Marines. He said it reminded him that that's what Marines do. They take care of his own. And he still enjoys picking up the tab for Marines, but now he always asks, "How many of them are you?" So if you know a veteran, thank them. If you know somebody that's looking for a job that's worn the cloth of the nation and maybe they don't quite fit what you're looking for, go with your gut. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for what you do every single day. I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you. God bless and Semper Fidelis.
I think we've had 2 great speakers speak, and we've had great speakers all day, but I think the message that was delivered, especially to the high-tech students, there's nothing you can't do. And there's a living example of it. Somebody that went to college and partied and partied and partied. I heard it very clearly. But the good thing was that she saw a good-looking man come after her and said, I got a job for you, and she took it. But that changed her life. And she made the best of it. There was nothing that she couldn't do. She just didn't know it. But once she found out that she had it within her, the sky was the limit. For you students, the sky is the limit. Listen to what this beautiful woman just had to say. Take advantage of everything that's out there. On behalf of the South County EDC, thank you very much for a great morning and afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much. Yeah.